Hey, Rooftop Church, this is another Smattering with Pastor Smat. Thoughts to keep you encouraged and challenged during a global pandemic. Now, this upcoming Sunday, September 6th, we're going to start a new series on the Old Testament prophet Isaiah. I'm excited about Isaiah because it's maybe the most important book in the Old Testament that you know nothing about. Isaiah lived hundreds of years before Jesus, and God used him to speak words of judgment and hope to his countrymen and to us. Now, Isaiah was quite a character. Most prophets usually are. God calls prophets to do really interesting things as visual aids. God called Jeremiah to smash a bunch of pots. God called Ezekiel to bake bread over human feces. But Isaiah might take the cake. For example, there's this scene in Isaiah chapter 20 when the prophet is called by God to prophesy against the nations of Egypt and Cush. These nations have had their own long-standing problems, and the sovereign God of history is going to come down upon them in the form of their enemies, the Assyrians. But God calls Isaiah to make his point in an especially revealing way. He tells Isaiah to strip naked and walk around for 3 years with nothing on. And then God says to these nations, he says, just as my servant Isaiah has gone stripped and barefoot for 3 years as a sign and portent against Egypt and Cush, so the king of Assyria will lead away stripped and barefoot the Egyptian captives and Cushite exiles, young and old, with buttocks bared. You see, God didn't want these people to just hear Isaiah's words. He wanted them to see his words. So he commanded his prophet to demonstrate to them what was going to happen to them. You're going to be led away, naked, humiliated, embarrassed, like me, into captivity by your enemies with your tushy hanging out. That's how bad your sins are. What's crazy is that Isaiah did it for 3 years. Why would he do that? Why would he stand in public naked? Who would stand in public naked? Only fools do that. But sometimes God needs obedient fools to do his work. Naked, obedient fools, willing to bare their buttocks for Jesus. There are plenty of buttoned-up preachers wearing their clothes these days. Maybe we could use a few naked ones. All that to say, we have a lot to learn from this naked prophet. His courage, his obedience, his poetry. He'll put poetic images in our brains that we might never be able to get out. So join us on Sunday morning at Rooftop. We have 3 services at 8:30, 10 o'clock, and 11:30. We'll also see you online at rooftop.org/TV. If you're not ready to come back yet, clothes are preferred unless God is telling you otherwise. This is Pastor Smet, smiting out.